All right, ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Dupree Show, Monday, June 23rd, broadcasting on Red Voice Media. Don't forget to check out rvmnews.com. Don't forget to check out Spreely. Doesn't look like we're broadcasting on that today, but we'll get that fixed. Broadcasting on my profile channel today. They shut down Unfiltered Views, so on Facebook, so we're broadcasting on the profile channel. But if that's not to your liking, you can go to YouTube and don't forget to subscribe. It's free. Click on the notification bell. Your comments will show up in the chat, so follow us over there on YouTube. There's a lot of conservatives still on YouTube, and we are back on YouTube also. All right, we're gonna jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about in a short time to do it. Let me introduce Mr. Jason Robinson from Minnesota.
Hey, folks, happy Monday. Welcome to the Wayne Dupree podcast. Yeah, you know, some of those platforms, Facebook and whatnot, that we fought really hard to stay on, they don't always like what we have to say. So check us out on YouTube, Rumble. We're on a bunch of other networks, Twitter X. We're there for you. But we appreciate you tuning in. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the comment, hit the share button. Help show get some reach.
That's right. Okay. As I said, we're going to jump right into it. There's a whole lot going on over the weekend, and it looks like a lot of people. It looks like a lot of people are losing their damn minds. Okay. I mean, that's just the easiest thing. That's the easiest thing to say. Now, me and Jay kind of briefly spoke about it over the weekend. You know, we were shocked at some things and our jaws hit the floor on a couple other things. But what's going on online is crazy. First off, it's okay to disagree. It's okay unless you're trying to force somebody to believe what you believe. In that case, you are becoming what you have been fighting against for years. You are becoming intolerant of somebody else's ideas. And here's another one, Jay, check this out. If you were against the United States getting in other people's business just last year, and now all of a sudden you change, okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, people change. Okay, people change, but don't slander people that aren't going over there with you. You know, don't say that they ain't MAGA because they don't agree with you. Just because you had an epiphany and you want to say, well, you ain't gonna support President Trump, so I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna mute you. I didn't in the first term when Trump listened to John McCain and Lindsey Graham and went to Syria. I didn't agree with that.
Nope.
You know, it's like there's something this year I didn't agree with some of the things that were happening at the Arlington National Cemetery. I didn't agree with some other things too. Doesn't mean that, you know, I don't support some of the things that President Trump is doing. It doesn't mean, but for those people to come and turn things around, you ain't MAGA. Who the hell? Who do you think you are?
Is there like an entrance test or something?
Yeah, I mean, are you giving out are you uniting people to be in MAGA and then taking it away? You know, just because they don't agree with you? This is nuts, man. Oh, I just saw a friend of mine this morning say, if people ain't following what President Trump's doing, I'm doing a block party. I'm blocking everybody because they saying we going to war. Jason, go.
I was gonna say, like, Wayne and I were texting over the weekend, chatting, and like things are getting just nuts. I mean, I have since my youth been against war. And the only time I want us ever to get involved in a war is if we declare it. We round up the boys, we head in, we get it done as quickly as possible. I think often the outcome of wars are worse, other than just the loss of blood and treasure. What you leave in the country behind many times ends up being worse. These proxy wars or engagements that you talk about, all that stuff, like, rarely seems to turn out very well. And I was against us being involved in Ukraine. I'm against us, unless you think Russia is a big threat, in which case let's declare war, let's go after Russia. I'm against us getting involved in the Israel, Palestine, Israel, Iran. If that's the case, if Iran's that big a threat, let's declare war, let's go get it done. And I think we've been really consistent on this show. War's bad. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't get involved. And if we do choose to get involved, we should make it be over as quickly as possible. And it's fascinating. And this Israel Iran thing is just really, really weird. And the reactions and the back and forth. And it's funny. I had talked about it on the show last week, like, hey, I was going to watch the Ted Cruz Tucker interview, and I watched the whole thing. I would encourage everybody to watch it, like the whole thing, because Tucker is being critical of the Israeli government. Like, hey, this government and AIPAC, and how come they aren't registered as a foreign lobbying group? And Ted Cruz falls back with the anti-Semite attacks. Like, oh, I hate the Jews. And it's like, whoa. Tucker's saying that there might be some issue with their government, and you start calling. And Ted Cruz is somebody I respect a lot, and especially for his analysis. And he always says, if you're ahead on points, you hammer the points, and if you're behind and you don't have a good point, you hammer the table, meaning you make an emotionally charged response. That's what he did the whole interview. And I went in thinking Ted Cruz is going to make a reasonable argument for why I should be involved in this war. Tucker will take the opposite stance. But at the end of the interview, I'm like he's saying, oh, well, the Bible says we support Israel. And Tucker's
he brought that in there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and then Tucker's like, so you mean the Netanyahu government? Like, that's what they were talking about?
Yeah.
And he's all, why are you an anti-Semite? I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, can we not all agree that maybe the Israeli government is not acting in good faith? Whatever you think about the conflict, and let's have a rational conversation about it. So all that aside, this whole situation's weird. Everybody's getting very balkanized, and it really comes down to, if you don't support us supporting Israel, like, they want to call you names. And anytime people start calling you names, I'm like, oh, this makes me more inclined to think there's some shenanigans going on. It's really wild. And then you get some people. My favorite part was, I think it was the Hodge twins got pinched, where they had posted something on the Twitter and then something on Facebook that were the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And then it illustrated, they're like, oh yeah, our social media lady posted that on Facebook. And then they were getting a bunch of grief. And it's like, I'm shocked that a lot of people think that a lot of these huge influencers that run these big companies do all their posting themselves. Small guys.
I learned that a long time ago, that they had groups or they had somebody running their account. I was like, what? I run my own account. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So at my old company, we helped influencers monetize with different ads and, different, promoting products or whatnot. And like, if they ever suck toe in the water, we're like, yeah, we aren't going to run your stuff. Like we run, like, Wayne runs his own. Wayne posts everything he wants on his social media. And when he has writers other than himself, he denotes it in the article. It's not like he says Wayne Dupree wrote this, but that is not true. You get these big influencers and the big accounts. As much as you want to believe that, yeah, it's really Bob Smith who posts 578 times a day, it's not always Bob Smith. Like, there's a crew of people that are posting on these accounts, and it blows me away. And what's sad is, I think through all of this, I think President Trump is doing a pretty effective job with a very difficult situation in Iran. I didn't approve of the bunker buster strategy. I can see the intelligence in what he did. Sounds like he let them know, hey, we're going to take out your nuclear enrichment sites. You don't need that for anything other than making bombs. There are reports that they moved some of that stuff out of there. So it
And
might have
that's
been
the crazy part. And that's the crazy part, because if the intel said this is where they are, then the intel should have told you that they moved it.
right.
So if they moved it, and then on top of that, I had issues with the obliterated word, because when you use, understand presentation, I do. President Trump does that a lot. The presentation, when he comes out there and says obliterated, and then the next day, I think it was Pete Hegseth said, what did he say? I asked a question on social media yesterday morning. Let's see, Wayne, come on. Yeah, because they came out and had that. Oh, here it is. I said, since I'm not afraid to ask questions, was Iran's nuclear capability obliterated, or was it severely damaged? Because there is a huge difference between both those words. Okay, Trump said it was obliterated. Pete Hegseth came out and said severely damaged. So I mean, when and now you're hearing that they're going to start back up again later. It's like, if it's obliterated, I mean, if you're going to send all those what is it, bunker busting,
Right. Sounds like 12 bunker busters got dropped in.
Huh?
Sounds like 12 bunker busters is what.
12, right?
Yeah, the
12.
reports keep changing, but
yeah, if you're going to send 12 of those big, gigantic, huge things, but they're going to restart later down the road, because they've saved some of their stuff that had 60%. And the way that, Jay, I had to go to a media outside the United States of America, because I kept getting tired of saying the same thing, man. Well, if it's 60%, it's 90%. And if it's 90%, then it was 6%. I was like, that's that Common Core math type stuff. It was 60%, then it's almost at 100%. I was like, okay, all right, okay. I see what y'all trying to do. Breaking news real fast, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we do this around noontime. There's an imminent threat of Iranian strike on the U.S. base of Qatar. That just came through just a few minutes ago. So we'll see where that goes, Jason.
I was going to say, if I had to, and I might need the tinfoil hat for this one, if I had to project what's happening, I think President Trump went in and said, listen, you guys can't enrich uranium. We're going to blow up these things. They had time to evacuate the key personnel. Who knows what other stuff, if they removed anything. He went in and blew them up. I think they will retaliate. They will strike a military base. I think they will find a way to give us a heads up, so that they will strike either a part of a base that is unoccupied or a base that is unoccupied, so that they can go to their population and say, oh, we struck back against the great white devil. And I think our attack and theirs will be designed to minimize human casualties, because I don't think Iran.
They don't care.
I think Iran right now, the powers that be in Iran, don't want to go to war with America. Now, I will say, I think there's a risk of sleeper cells in America, because some of those guys that are more decentralized, because the Ayatollah knows, like, you pick a fight with America, like, welcome to Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, all the things, right? And so, but I wouldn't put it past some of their agents or some of their people they don't have too tight a leash on doing something stupid. So
yeah, here it is. Here it is. I really don't think they care right now, because they are being embarrassed. They are being embarrassed. And they already told you. They come to kill. They come to kill Americans. It's not, they ain't come to tickle the underbelly or anything. They said they come to kill Americans. And here's the thing too, because that's the narrative that's being pushed now, or this narrative that's being pushed right now. Yeah, we bombed them, but that doesn't mean that we're at war. That's just being shared on social media. They bombed. We bombed them. As a matter of fact, we bombed them 12 times, according to the thing. We bombed them 12 times. We flew into their airspace, and sometimes I try to think, Jason, just how tuned in many people are about politics and things, because the bomber is a stealth bomber. You ain't supposed to see it anyway. If they see it, it don't work. I know. I work there. I work at Tonopah Test Range.
Haven't had to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it is White Hat Day. We got to coordinate this too, so everybody can wear their white hats. Drop in the chat. I went over to Saudi and with the I was going to tell y'all a secret. I went over there with the fighter, the stealth fighter. Now that was stealth bomber that dropped that thing. The bomber was big enough to drop that type of thing, but then you got the stealth fighter, and you're not supposed to see it. But you hear all these people saying, we rolled in there and they didn't see it, and then we rolled out. That's what I call precision. You ain't supposed to see it. Right.
Because of the material on it, But I mean, I think to myself, I'm like, are they trying to, don't people know this? Don't people know? Whatever. But it is whatever. But I did find out something just to move across this thing. We'll be right back. I promise you. We'll be right back. But Jason, I found out something last night or Saturday, and I didn't want to share with you over the thing. I want to see what.
Okay.
First, I had to check it out to see if it was true, and it's true. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. The U.S. Army just swore in 4 tech executives as lieutenant colonels. The CTO of Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company, the CTO of Meta, which is Mark Zuckerberg's company, and OpenAI's chief product officer and former chief research officer, the company belonging to Sam Altman. These 4 men are all now 1 rank away from a general. Second in command for field grade officers. There are 16 ranks lower than a lieutenant colonel, and these 4 untrained civilians just leapfrog over soldiers that have dedicated their whole career and lives to the U.S. military. Apparently, these men are going to work on targeted projects to help guide rapid and scalable tech solutions to complex problems. They were given the ranks of lieutenant colonel. As a military guy, most of us had to go through basic training.
Right.
Most of us had 6 months. Others had a year or so. Air Force Academy had longer than that. You gonna give somebody the rank of lieutenant colonel? That's not cool. And I'm talking to all the military people out there that did not know this. Believe me, before I brought it, I had to check it. You can check. 4 execs, 4 tech executives were given the rank of lieutenant colonel. Just search that. 4 tech executives were given. That pisses me off. That pisses me off to the highs of festivity right there. I mean, that my milk is curdled right now, Jason.
Well, I got to say 2 thoughts. Thought one, as all this stuff continues ramping up, it reminds me of, I think it was an Albert Einstein quote. I might be attributing it wrong, but he said, "I'm not sure what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and rocks." Meaning, like, the technology is just going to get so far out there that it's going to blow things away. As for the appointing tech people, like, I think everybody can agree that the way military is going, that your military scientists, computer guys are going to be just as valuable or more valuable than your grunts.
But here's the thing, though.
Well, hang on, just to finish the thought. You're destroying your military organization, though, not making them start and go through all the stuff. Like, that's part of being the military. It's not just your skill set or your talents. It's that understanding of what the people on the front lines go through, which is why they do internal promotions. You don't want a general making some decision without knowing what the guys in the trenches are going through. That's just crazy.
And here's the thing. There are civilians in the military.
Right.
GS 11s, GS 12s.
But they're not putting the official rank structure.
They aren't put in the rank structure. But guess what? When I was in the military as a airman first class, and my first duty station was Hawaii, and it was an audio-visual squadron. One of the departments that our place went around taking pictures all over the base and stuff, and then they brought it back. They brought it back to the department where you had civilians working in there with a few military, but most of them were civilians. All of them were GS something. Okay. The first day that I was in there, they introduced me to the person that was in charge, who was a GS 10, GS 11, and they said, "You refer to him as sir. He's just like a master sergeant or a chief master sergeant, but he's on the civilian level. But he's put in the time. You refer to him. You don't have to give him lieutenant colonel rank. On top of that, these 4 didn't even go through enlisted. I mean, unenlisted. They went straight to the officer. You know, if they do something great or stuff, boom, colonel." What? Okay, all right. Well,
yeah, I say, it's I mean, I've not served in the military. I have friends and family that have, and from my understanding of the military and looking at the chat, I think most of them agree. Like, part of a successful, cohesive, functioning military is that series of progression that you go through to move up, and if you look historically, leaders, like, we're watching the show, Jen and I, we're watching that Amazon show about David and Saul. When he became king, it was his battlefield prowess, leading armies, and he was anointed by God. But that was part of what led to his rise and his respect to the people, is you have that, hey, I did this and I worked my way up through the ranks. And that's part of that cohesion that holds military units together. You can't just pluck people off the street and drop them into the stream.
No,
everybody starts step one. Like, that's part, and it's all built on meritocracy, where it's you perform. As you're able to perform and develop skills and abilities, you move up, and as you drive results. So yeah, just sliding people into the chain of command, that gets a little dicey. And there's a place for them, like you say, let them be a civilian assistant or whatever you want to do. So
yeah. Again, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of people talking. Mark Levin hadn't stopped.
Oh my God. Shut him up. Put a sock in him.
Jesus, man. I mean, every time the wind blows, he's talking. And then you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, who this show does. We got our problems with old Marge, with large Marge. we got our problems with her. But you know, she's going at it with him. You got Candace Owens going at it with Laura Loomer. You got Laura Loomer going at it with everybody too. I mean,
you brought up Large Marge. Can I have a rare Large Marge compliment from Marjorie Taylor Greene? I saw an interview with her and Matt Gaetz that gave me an interesting perspective
into where they're thinking
happening in the Middle East. And I don't know exactly how the election process works in Israel, but it sounds like they can do like recall elections in parliament. And Netanyahu only held on to his seat by 2 votes. And had 2 more people swung the other way, they would have had a new election and selected a new prime minister, whatever his title is. And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it's very relevant context as you look into this war that's going on with both Palestine that everybody quit talking about immediately and Iran. Is he's trying to balance this political calculus of how do I maintain my power versus how do I, continue this war effort, that sort of thing, which is, I mean, the same critique we give to Zelensky. Like, Zelensky knows when the war is over and they hold an election, he ain't winning. And so I think there could be something in that. And Netanyahu, and then I saw in the comments people were talking about like, oh, Candace Owens and some of those folks that are going down the Israeli rabbit hole. It's funny, if you stick the toe in the water, the Israeli government might have some problems, folks. I'm just saying there may be some issues there. So then you start, that's where you get your conspiracy. You can't go too far down the rabbit hole. I mean, Mossad, there are connections between Epstein and Mossad, and just,
yeah,
I am not convinced that their government is not much like our government that is corrupt as heck.
You know what? You talking about that. I posted yesterday. I was like, yeah, we probably won't find anything now about the Epstein list,
Right.
Not now. Did you know too? And this is something I found out over the weekend too. Before the attacks, because, and we're going to look, we're here to tell you the truth. We're here to find out stuff, and we're here to let you know. President Trump was supposed to be meeting with Iran, talk about nuclear stuff. Israel knew it. President Trump was supposed to meet with them a couple weekends ago. Israel attacked Iran. Meeting canceled. That's how it went. I don't care what you think about it. That's how it went. Found out last night, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because Jason brought up the word recall. It looks like they were going to have some elections to remove Netanyahu.
Yep.
That either 2 weekends ago or the weekend after. They were going to remove him.
When you're at war.
And you can't when you're at war. And how best to not be removed by going after Iran. Okay. So then, as you have seen on the show and whatnot, Netanyahu, after he hit after they hit Iran, then he had a phone call with President Trump. I'm not lying about none of this. He had and then President Trump was like, he did a couple of these press interviews and whatnot. He's like, they should have took the deal. It could be bad. It could be bad. It could be. And then the next thing you know, Netanyahu got on and he started doing interviews. Iran tried to kill President Trump. Where'd that come from? And I was like, oh, I see what he's doing. Wayne sees what he's doing. Okay. He's in President Trump's ear. He's talking to President Trump. Okay, now President Trump is like, okay, fine. I give you 2 weeks last week. I give up to 2 weeks. Up to 2 weeks, I give him. Then Netanyahu, before last weekend, said, We don't need the United States to bomb. We're capable of doing it on our own. And what happened the next day? President Trump was like, we're the only people that can do it. Ain't nobody else that can do it. We do it. Like, we can do it. Then the next day, boom, boom. You know, and then Netanyahu came out. The United States is great. See, the United States is doing it. The United States, President Trump, they put him up on billboards in Israel and stuff, and you know, praising all that stuff. And last week, Netanyahu was like, "We're looking for regime change." Now, President Trump last year was like, "No."
Oh my God,
we ain't doing regime change. We ain't doing that. Now, yesterday morning, Hexef was like, "No, we're not looking for regime change. You know, we're not looking for it." Rubio was like, "Nope, we ain't looking for regime change. We ain't looking for it." President Trump later in the day, make Iran great again. I was like, what?
Can you imagine working in his staff and being like, how are we gonna do this, bro?
I know, yeah.
Like,
that reminds me of his first term, that he changed all the time, and everybody had to catch up to him. So if you aren't used to working with him, and that's why the media was always pissed off, because he would always change here and change here with other presidents and other leaders and whatnot. They always got a mole somewhere where they can talk to, and then they bring the CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. We heard unnamed sources and whatnot telling us this. President Trump would always change stuff at the last minute. You know, he changed stuff, and then the media would get mad because they, you know, Fox foaming at the mouth about nation building with Bushy pick Shaw Jr. I don't know about that one. You know about that one?
I think Shaw Jr. So if you remember, so Iran, I mean, you know, fun history lesson, back in the 70s and 80s before the Ayatollahs overthrew the king, it was actually becoming fairly westernized. Women were getting rights, so certain things were happening. And then when the Ayatollahs led the overthrow and takeover of the government, it kind of went the other way, where it's been much more traditional Islamic rule. But the son of the king, so the prince of Iran, I think, is who, like, if you look at this from like the TV show angle and like what they're trying to do, they're trying to set up the prince of the son of the former king to potentially lead a regime change. And I think what Trump is encouraging is the problem when you go in and overthrow these countries. If you go topple the government, it's what backfills that government. And frankly, it's whoever's strong enough to seize power and hold it. You know, it's the same thing with the Revolutionary War. Like, we overthrew the British rule, and we hope that the people that were there behind it were strong enough to build a great country. And too often these countries don't work. You get rid of the current leadership, and then the new leadership comes in, and then things just go sideways. So for me, I think, you know, Trump wants to appeal to the Iranian people, like, hey, you can have a better life than what you currently have in Iran. Get a leader who's going to do that without us having to go in and overthrow it. But yeah, the whole thing's getting weird. And like I said, I'd hate to be like Rubio or Hegseth. Like, you just go out there and you're like, we are not interested in a regime change. And then like 4 hours later, you're refreshed Truth Social. Oh, make Iran great again. Okay, let me get with my messaging team. Like, what's he talking about?
What have you, because, you know, I'm telling you everything that I saw. What did you see? Because I know why you're trying to eat. You were sending me a couple things like FFS.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. Jen and I went out to dinner, which, by the way, we went to the Texas Roadhouse. We
never been
for Christmas, and I haven't been there much. And I've had a couple different things there, but I had their ribs. I had to take a picture and send it to Wayne. They were some of the best ribs.
They look good.
Great cut of meat, cooked, fall off the bone. They were great. And of course, you're sitting there waiting for your meal, and you're refreshing, and it's like, I think that was the "Make Iran Great Again" tweet or something. I'm like, what?
I think you gave me a couple though, Jason. I think you gave me a couple.
Oh my God, I did. It was spectacular. Hang on, let me go back. Yeah. No, that one was the "Make America Great Again," and then we were talking about the Laura Loomer one where she used to be against bombing Iran, and it was her tweet was, "Today Nikki Haley went on CNBC and called it the U.S. to bomb Iran. She wants more war in the Middle East, which means more dead soldiers. The only person who's proven he won't create more is Donald Trump. He is a pro-peace candidate." That was the Laura Loomer tweet. Just saying. I don't know.
Earlier Saturday.
Like I say, some of these folks, like we've been pretty consistent. We don't want us involved in any war, funding, or troops unless we're going to be involved, in which case let's end it as quickly as possible. Hasn't changed. Trump bombing Iran, like I am not a fan of. I wish he wouldn't have done. I can see the logic behind what he did, and I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, presidents do stuff like that. It's not good. I don't condone it, but oh my God, here's the undercurrent though that I'm finding really fascinating is if you can look at the political calculus and what's going on with the government of Israel and say, okay, so they have Mossad, one of the greatest spy networks. They have, some of the best technology, some of the best development. And if you're like, well, maybe they're not all pure intentioned. And any criticism of that, like, hey, why are they, painting us in a picture where we kind of got to support these wars, those sorts of things, that becomes like a problem. People start calling you names, and it's like, wait a second, we on the right are hugely critical of every government, like even the Trump administration. Like we're like, what's going on? Why aren't they releasing the Epstein files? But it's weird, and I think that's why some folks are going so far off the one end of the pier where they think everything's really conspiratorial, because you can't talk bad about it at all. And if you do, everybody attacks you and calls you names. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Netanyahu's government isn't all on the up and up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Wait, I just got a breaking news.
Oh no.
Oh. Iran has just launched 6 missiles toward U.S. bases in Qatar. Wait, explosions heard over Qatar capital. Okay.
While you're reading that, I got to weigh in. It sounds like K-Gun Girl is a fan of the Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, I've never been.
He endorses the ribs.
Okay.
We do have an invitation from Becky. We're going to go down to Texas.
All right.
Texas Roadhouse. Cheddar
Oh.
ribs falling off the bone. Good.
Did you eat any of the bread? Did you eat any of the bread? Because I heard the bread was the bomb.
All right. So here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I don't like the honey butter. And they have honey butter. So you walk in, they have these 4 fresh baked rolls they give you. They'll give you extra too. But they give you honey butter. And when we used to go, I would actually bring my own stick of butter because they never had regular butter. They just had the stupid honey butter. And now you can get regular whipped butter, and it's delicious. Their rolls are phenomenal. And if you go, Jen got the loaded cheddar mashed potatoes. It was mashed potatoes, cheese, bacon. It was phenomenal. And I've gone there, and like their steaks are good. I got a chicken fried steak that wasn't that good, actually. Like truck stop chicken fried or country fried steak was better. But yeah, this time I went ribs, and I'm like, okay, that is my go-to. I love the ribs.
Yeah. Qatar. So okay, so that's where we, let's see. Question on YouTube.
So the question will be though, if they're attacking a base in Qatar, will my prediction be true and there's like no casualties? So they attack an abandoned base or part of a base that doesn't.
I don't think that. Yeah, but we got people. We don't have abandoned bases over there in Qatar. We got people over there.
We just moved a lot of people out. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
I'm saying it's not outside the realm of possibility to say, okay, guys, we know you're going to attack. here's some spots that you won't kill anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
outside the realm of possibility.
There was a whole lot of notifications earlier this morning to move people, so they had to have gotten some chatter somewhere that it was going to happen this morning. But what will President Trump do now? Because President Trump doesn't care if it's a base that don't got anybody in there.
Right.
He's not going to care. I mean, if basically you're saying if you're going after a U.S. base, United States base, even if you ain't got nobody on there, you wanted somebody on there, or you were thinking somebody's going to be on there. So, and then Russia, Medvedev came out and,
oh my God,
said, well, you can destroy all you want to. There's other countries lining up to give them nuclear stuff if they need it. Oh, dude, y'all just don't know how to shut up. And Saudi came out against it, and Saudi had just they just hosted Trump, which is crazy. They just hosted Trump, and then they have fixed some relations with Iran over the last couple of years. So they said it was bad. Pakistan president or whatnot was just over here, said, we're putting in President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. And then they just came out against the bombing of Iran. Yeah. I was like, okay, all right.
See, this is why I don't want us involved in any of this. Like, what a quagmire. Like, and I've told the story when I was coming of age, and like my dad was a Marine, and as I looked at the military, I'm like, man, I don't want to go die in some desert in the Middle East. And here 30 years later, it's like we're still dying in some desert in the Middle East, and they were still battling over it. And yeah, I just like, let's make America great again. Let's focus on our own country.
Yeah, but I'm making America great again. But we got to talk about that making Iran great again thing, just briefly, because my head was shot when I saw that one. I was like, I didn't know Iran was great before. And let's see, who did Iran was the one that kidnapped the American hostages when Jimmy Carter was in office. So yeah. I don't know when Iran was ever great. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's me.
Well, and I think fundamentally what you have is a religious conflict where, I mean, if you boil it all down, you have the Islamics and the Christians fighting each other, and they're still fighting each other. They've been fighting each other for thousands of years. And I don't know why we don't just like each stay in our own sandbox. You know what I mean? And that's when I take an isolationist perspective, it is because like, let them do their stuff. Let's quit going over there, getting involved and giving them any reason to pick a fight with us. Mm-hmm. It does us no good. Every 20 years it cycles around because you do something, you kill people, and the kids come of age, and boom, they're back. Yeah,
the Shah of Iran. I saw a 60-minute video clip of the Shah talking about stuff going on here in America and APAC and stuff. And wasn't he the one that got murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was like that Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz interview. Like Tucker's like, wait a second, AIPAC, which we all know, like it works with the Israeli government to push their issues, but it's not registered as a foreign lobbyist group. Well, no. Technically, it doesn't need to because of XYZ technicality. And Tucker's like, yeah, but just on the surface, like these guys talk to the government, they say what things they want done. So really, it's kind of like a foreign lobby group. No, because of XYZ technicality. And it's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like to the common man, that looks, just say you're from AIPAC. But like I say, for whatever the reasoning is, like, I think some people, always follow the money. Everybody supports their biggest donors. and some people, I think they are making decisions that support the donors, and sometimes I think it's a threat because organizations like AIPAC can mobilize a lot of people against you.
Yeah. Thomas Massey.
Oh my gosh. Can we not go after Lindsey Graham instead?
That's what I was saying. I was like, Lindsey has look, you know how you watch these crime shows and you're like, well, he was around the scene of the crime. Lindsey has his fingerprints on all this stuff. Lindsey was back there with Syria when I didn't agree with that one either. I didn't agree with Syria. I didn't agree that President Trump should have made senator, attorney general, the one that abdicated his position just as soon as he got in there, from Georgia, right?
Oh, is it Sessions?
Sessions. I didn't think that he should have put Sessions as attorney general. I said these things, I said that I don't think that. I said I let Israel and Iran duke it out. Let them have it, and the victor goes the spoils, but just as soon, and it's the world we live in. As soon as you decide that you were off the plantation, people get mad with you. People block you. And the Hodge twins have been really going at it. Like you said, the Hodge twins have really been going at it all weekend. And they've been taking a whole, I don't know, I'm following you. Calling them, which they might be, I don't know. But calling them paid influencers, But then you see a whole rack of paid influencers saying the same thing. There was a screenshot that I got yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that one?
I saw that.
They're basically saying the same thing. And around the same time, they don't even know how to, well, you do it at 2:00, I do it at 4:15. They all do it at the same time. I'm like, okay, somebody gave me March.
To be fair, sometimes that happens because somebody will see a creative tweet and go, oh, that's a good tweet. So they'll try to reword it, share their own tweet. They're just copying somebody's homework. Sometimes that does happen. And you'll see it. There's a number of people that, like, you'll watch and they're putting out the same content as other people, right? And, hey, here's this story. Here's this video. Colin Rugg, who I used to work with, know him, good guy. Like, he finds a lot of obscure stuff. And, like, I'll see him share it first. And then all of a sudden it's on 5 different feeds. But some of these people do get paid. And I find it shocking that people don't realize that. And it's like, that's part of the business,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do you actually believe President Trump entertains Lindsey BS?
Knows Lindsey Graham is a snake. Yeah, I hope he knows Lindsey Graham's a snake. What we're referring to is Trump came out talking about getting a primary challenger to Massey. And I think of all the enemies on the right, Massey does not make my top 10 list. I would much rather them primary somebody else. Not to mention, I don't think you can primary Massey. Like, they just love him down there. And
why do you think Mitch McConnell hasn't been able to go anywhere?
Oh, Mitch has gone after him. Several.
No, I mean, but nobody's ever been able to get Mitch out of that seat, even though MAGA, the Tea Party has been against him. I mean, I remember back in the day when the Tea Party was at the top deal, we used to go after Mitch all the time. And when I joined the Tea Party Express, state to state bus tour and everything, I had somebody from the Tea Party, whatever group it was called. We were standing in line at one of those Texas, it wasn't Texas Roadhouse, but let's just call it Texas thing. And, they had all the barbecue and stuff. Somebody came up to me, I watch your podcast. Thank you. Great job. Great. Thank you. Stop talking about taking out Mitch. What? he's the only one that can win. What? No, I'm not. No, that's why we're trying to get rid of him. Not that he's the only one that can win. He's bad for us. But that's how Lindsey runs committees. Trump needs those votes.
That is true.
Well, guess what? Guess what? Man, forget. You know what? There's just too many excuses. There's too many excuses, Jason. I don't care if he runs committees. Get him out the committees and put somebody else up there. You know, him and his China port money has been running things for a long time.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing with Mitch McConnell. Like, he was fairly popular in his home state on the conservative side.
Yeah.
And he controlled the money. I mean, these guys,
as
they get into
who else
politics.
ain't going nowhere?
What's
Rand Paul? Rand Paul ain't going nowhere.
Oh, yeah, Rand Paul ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere. Y'all can do that if you are trying to raise money and stuff. We got to get rid of this person. Some of these people are sunk in like Alabama ticks in Tennessee and Kentucky and Mississippi and all this. You can get rid of them.
Well, and it's fascinating because I think what people have to realize, going back to the David show I was watching this weekend, great show, by the way, still got a few episodes left, but you see the positioning of all the other people in the courts, how they want to kind of align themselves politically with the king. And that's what these politicians do. They get in and then they steer themselves to these areas of responsibility. Mitch controlled the money for a long time. So did Kevin McCarthy, which was what made his ousting so spectacular, is that was the first time somebody in charge of the money got ousted. And I mean, that was a pretty big deal. And so, yeah, some of these guys, though, they just control enough power that, you know, if you need something to get done, that's who you have take care of it, you know.
Breaking news. President Trump has convened his national security team to prepare for potential Iranian retaliation following his airstrikes on Iran. Earlier, the president warned that any Iranian response will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed over the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, that is war. That is war. It is.
Oh, yeah, there's videos out there too. Holy cow.
It is what it is, y'all. I mean, you know, ain't no war. We just bombed 12 times. You did 12 super gigantic ground holy roller bombs, 12 of them. So heavy that the bomber could only carry 2. You bombed the country 12 times and you like, okay, fine. A strike isn't a war. Okay, all right. It's not a war until the other people respond and then you respond back. What's that? What's that? You playing jacks? Marbles?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, one positive outcome of this could be that if Democrats get mobilized enough to restrict what President Trump can do militarily, I think that could be a net positive in the long run, because as we've continued to increase what the president was allowed to do, I think that's not been a net positive for the country. I think that's part of what gets us involved. I mean, every president back to Reagan has done some missile strike or some strike on somebody else, and I don't think that's necessarily a net good. And I'm not saying I'm critical of what Trump did. You know, history will be the judge of if it was the right decision or not. But I think restricting that ability for the president to do it isn't inherently a bad thing, because I think the threshold to get us committed to wars or whatever you want to call it needs to be pretty high, because too often we just casually get involved with it and it's like, oh, and all of a sudden then you're knee deep in it.
Do you think that because I really don't think, I mean, I'm not sure. Do you think that you will see that there will be ground troops in Iran?
I think the next 72 hours will determine. I think Iran's going to fire retaliation because we hit them. and then best case scenario, they get their propaganda, and then everything calms down. Worst case scenario, things continue to escalate. It's too early to predict. I mean, we haven't seen what Iran's response is. So if Iran's response does manage to kill U.S. troops or that kind of thing, then we're in a really dangerous place. And Iran's got to respond. They would overthrow the government if they didn't do something.
Yeah, and so many people, some people on social media was like, well, the Iranian people, they want change and whatnot and everything. Yeah, but if they feel like they're attacked, like, I mean, if you've seen some of these videos and stuff, the people are starting to chant death to America because they feel attacked. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Maybe that might be backfiring the way that you did it, because if you lose winning their hearts and minds, I forgot who said that before about that, but the idea is to win the hearts and minds of your enemies so that they turn on the leadership and stuff. Now, there are some people out there in Iran that's calling for the Ayatollah Khomeini or whatnot to step down. He probably won't be alive next week, but and
I think the hearts and mind argument. So to give people kind of some perspective. So right now, if you go into the Walmart and you run into a liberal with an I hate Trump shirt, they literally think Elon Musk was a Nazi. Like, the media in a free speech environment convinced them that Elon Musk was a Nazi and Donald Trump's going to be a dictator and all the things, right? And they really believe that. Like, hook them up to the lie detector test. They really believe that. Can you imagine what it's like in Iran, where it's all state-run media? Like, it's even worse. You have no idea what these people have access to, what they think, what they believe, and I think the other thing too is most people, no matter where you're at in the world, just want a functional society. At the end of the day, most people don't really care all that much about some things. We want life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, feed our family, practice our religion, whatever that is. Like, that's kind of inherent in people. And until people have that infringed enough, they aren't going to overthrow the government. So I think it's pretty optimistic if we think we're going to overthrow an Iranian government, or they're going to.
Yeah. But you know what? We also did the same thing about the Nazi thing too. You remember when Biden was standing in front of those red drapes?
Yes.
Yeah. We did the same thing. We
didn't.
Well, no.
We thought it was a bad look.
We made fun of it and stuff, but our side basically, especially our meme patrol, they were making it kind of like that. But yeah, I mean,
well, that one was so funny too, because that couldn't happen on accident. Somebody purposely, like, somebody designed
red.
And there's no way you can look at that and go, really? Really?
Like,
you call half the country like ultra right wing extremists, whatever.
Yeah, either it was a Nazi thing, or it was the gates of hell. It was either one.
What it was. It was a bad look.
There's red on both sides like that.
Right.
Terry, before you go, I wasn't laughing at stuff. Terry put on there, it's not funny. I wasn't really laughing. I mean, I was, I thought it was ironic. That was the laughter. We were laughing at
we laugh at a lot of things.
Yeah, the timeline, how things just laughing, and
right.
And there's like, there's nothing to laugh about. Dude, take a Snickers bar. Hey, Mark Levin, just take a Snickers bar, man. Yeah, look. If there's one time my daughters came in on the weekend, and once again, I'm watching all the action on YouTube, on TV. I'm watching all the stuff, and I'm like, what's going to happen? What's going on? I was like, that's what I'm watching. I just want to make sure that everything's great. My other daughter came in. Well, we're far away from the bomb. It's not going to bother us. I was like, if they go after DC, we're out. We're done.
Mhm.
We're only 50 minutes away. I was like, I've been thinking about an exit strategy for the last 15 to 16 years. I've been thinking about exit strategy. That's why I always want to know where my babies are. So if anything cracks, the truck is gassed. We too close to DC. You know, that's why I said we travel up there to Minnesota. Ain't nobody messing with them. Those Somalis up there in Minnesota. So
They still think they're living in Somalia.
I know. But no, keep your eyes open, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes open. For those that used to watch on Facebook, they shut us down.
Did they say why?
No, but it looks like the old page.
Okay.
They shut down the second one. Yeah, they shut down the second one after they shut down the first one and whatnot. So we broadcast on the second one. And then over the weekend, they just shut down the second one. So now we're broadcasting on the profile page, but I can't share that one.
Right.
Because for some reason I can't share it. So that's why I just put the YouTube. But I want to thank the increasing number of people watching on YouTube. I want to thank you for that. Make sure that you share it. Richard One says, "War, it is. My money is on the United States." Huckleberry on YouTube says, "People are making excuses to justify everything that is decided, no matter what people think." Mike Delane says, "Let me get my 10-4 hat on there." Jason has a 10-4 hat. And Lisa is, what's up, Lisa? Lisa's watching it out over there on YouTube. So, oh, Bannon, if Trump comes to DC from golf course wearing a suit on Sunday, it's on live. Bannon saw it, went live 5 p.m. Use a different name next time, Wayne. What was that?
I think he was talking about making a Facebook page. Yeah, for folks, you know, what's tough is you make a business page and then you spend a lot of time building it and getting your followers or advertising it or however you do it. And then when they shut down doing stuff on it, it sucks.
And this time,
not that people can't find it, but they also hurt you financially, you know.
And this time, they they made it so I couldn't create another page.
Yeah.
They were like, "Okay, we'll do it this way and do it this way, and then we cut them out this way." But I still got something working. I still get around that. I just ain't gonna say nothing though, or you know, I still got something working. Isn't that right, Jason?
No, that's right. We always find a way.
We always find a way. Here on the Wayne Dupree Show, we always find a way. We broadcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time here on Red Voice Media. Don't forget to check out remnews.com and the DupreeReport.com. Make sure that whatever you do, if you have any questions for us, always bring them to the chat. We'll try to catch them during the show. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Jason, give me some last thoughts and let's get out.
I'm going to say buckle up, folks. Hopefully tomorrow we'll find out. I'm hoping I'm right. I'm hoping the missile strikes on Qatar, they get their, you know, pound of flesh. Hopefully it's not human flesh. Hopefully it's a base. So Iran can go back to their people and say, hey, look, we struck against the great white devil, and things simmer down. That's the big thing that I'm hoping for and praying for. The second thing is don't get involved in all this. There's so much back and forth going on right now. And I think about President Trump and I think, my God, this man's 79 years old and a billionaire, and he should be sitting on a golf course with his supermodel wife and his kids, just living life. And instead, he stepped up to put himself in this situation to do this difficult job, which very few among us could or would do. And I just pray for him. I pray for the Trump family. I pray for the administration. I pray for peace. Like, let's just hope that I trust Trump to guide us through this and to not let this get out of hand. And we'll be back to talk about it with you guys tomorrow.
I remember an old saying, never feel sorry for the man who owns a boat.
That's right.
never feel sorry for a man who owns a boat. Y'all have a great evening. God bless. Take care.
See you tomorrow.